Welcome to the Corner 3 show. My name is Alex.
My name is Zach. I was expecting Ross to jump in there.
I know, and I probably just deleted the audio for our segment with Ross. Ross was kind enough to call in, and I was dumb enough to probably press the space bar. Don't use GarageBand. Anyways, the Pacers, some positive vibes. The Pacers are 4-0. We kind of went over this in our segment that may or may not be heard by you, the public. The Pacers are 4-0. A quick recap. Basically, they beat the Grizzlies. They come home. They beat the Pistons on the best game of the year by far. They go down to Miami and face the Florida Gauntlet of the back-to-back of the Heat and the Magic and come out 2-0, the first time that they've done that in franchise history. A lot of positive vibes. Just give me your general thoughts here, Zach, in case we don't find that hidden gem of an episode.
Pacers are hot. Bojan or Bogey, however everyone's pronouncing it these days, been playing great, shooting well from the three-point line. Myles Turner, comeback game against the Heat, 25 points, 20 in the first half. My only complaint about that, as I said in the lost footage or recording, I love the way he's playing. I need him to get more in the paint. Most of his points were jump shots. I know he's a young guy. He's got to work into it, but I would love to see him just get in there and start banging again, just like Sabonis is.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of hot players right now. Bogdanovic, Bogey, as Quinn calls him, has been on fire. 26 points both of the last two games. Myles Turner finally playing well in spurts here and there. Victor Oladipo, probably with his best game of his career against the Magic, his former team. Cory Joseph playing well. A lot of hot hands right now. But what you're seeing, and we'll talk about later, is a shortened rotation and a team that is playing well with each other. They're finding those grooves. They're finding the right lineups, too. But let's get right into the hot topics. Bogdanovic first, because he's just been red hot. He's been shooting the ball remarkably well. He's part of the reason that they're a top three-point shooting team in the NBA. Your thoughts, remind me, Zach, when we signed him, what were your thoughts around it? I think it was a 2-year, $20 million contract, very similar to Collison's contract.
Good contract because the Pacers want to have flexibility moving into the next year or two. At the time when we were signed, I think I was pretty excited about it just because the way he was playing overseas this summer. He was tearing up that EuroLeague he was in, that tournament. But after the first six to 8 games, wasn't playing that well for the Pacers. Wasn't shooting that well, but it seems like the last really 4 or 5 games he's picked it up, hitting his outside shot, driving. I don't know if it's him getting used to playing with the guys and there's more cohesion with the roster and the lineup being set, but he's playing great right now, and there's nothing to complain about really.
Yeah, I mean, he's been on fire. Cory Joseph has been shooting the ball remarkably well as well. You've just got a team right now that's firing on all cylinders, and we'll take it right now. Next, this 8-man rotation that we've seen. So TJ Leaf is the odd man out at the moment. I think I talked about it a bit on the Sideline Gods. Sideline Gods. Wow. Sideline Gods.
Hey, boys.
When you're listening to this on the airplane, just remember that I mentioned that you guys were gods when you were that much more closer to heaven. The Sideline Guys, I think I mentioned it there that I felt like TJ was hitting a bit of a rookie wall, which is to be expected. He's a 19-year-old kid who needs to put on some more weight, but he's shown flashes here and there. But he's been out of the lineup as of late, playing sparing, very, very low minutes. But I think this is the rotation that works right now, especially with GR3 out. Do you think that this is sustainable, though, these guys playing these longer minutes? I think so, just because Victor seems to be in great shape. So does Collison and Sabonis and even Turner.
I don't know how
he works in.
I don't know if about an 8-man roster being, rotation. I mean, being that sustainable. I mean, let's see. Right now, they are averaging 33 minutes a game for Thad, 33 for Victor, 31, almost 32 for Darren, 30 for Bojan, Myles at 29. And then after that, Sabonis is 25, Cory Joseph 24, and then it just drops off like crazy after that. Guys are going to get tired. It's a long season, and the style of play that they're at right now, where it's fast pace, spreading the ball out, a lot of pick and rolls, and we're not the greatest defensive team. That's just going to get worse if we keep playing more minutes like this. It would be nice to see TJ Leaf get some more run, but like you said, he needs to hit the weight room. He's got to learn to play some defense. I mean, his minutes are down. He's only averaging 11 minutes now a game, He was cut out, the last game or two? He didn't play?
Yeah. I mean, he's struggling on a couple different ends. Just defensive with the schemes. Dan Burke doesn't run a complicated defense, but he needs guys to be loud and to move with the ball and not just stay on their assignment. He needs the guys to follow the scheme. But, with Glenn coming not back anytime soon, but with him on the horizon, I think this definitely opens up back to a 9-man, maybe a 10-man rotation. I'd be curious to see who they determine to develop. I know in baseball they have the September call-ups, and you kind of want to move your young prospects into positions to succeed at that point. The NBA doesn't really have that, but I think the Pacers are in a position to where they have some young prospects. I think about EK down in the G League, or up in the G League in Fort Wayne right now. Glenn coming up. Even Joe Young had a spurt a couple games ago where he was playing pretty consistent backup minutes. So it's interesting. I like the fact that Nate is finally toying with the lineup and not just going with the vets. He's not playing Al big minutes. There's no reason to play Wilkins anymore. Everyone realizes that. I'm glad that he's finally experimenting and trying to find what's clicking, and it seems that this 8-man rotation is clicking right now.
Yeah, it's a bunch of guys that like playing together, moving the ball well, and the not the greatest, but they're covering that pick and roll, because when you have Al Jefferson out there, that's just an accident waiting to happen. People are just going to drive on us all day.
Yeah, it's not good. Next, we've got Myles Turner, and we talked about this in our secret episode yet to be aired. He had that comeback game versus the Miami Heat. He had 20 points in the first half. He really didn't have the best second half, but he had a really strong first half. He was hitting all of his jump shots. That came after Victor Oladipo went to his apartment after that Detroit game. Even though it was a great team win, you could tell Myles was down because Sabonis was playing that well, and there was a lot of chatter about how well Sabonis has been playing and how Myles hasn't really lived up to his hype this year.
Was there even an article in the Indy Star about that?
Well, yeah, I think there was some chatter too. So it kind of started up through, the crazy part of Pacers Twitter. We kind of fed into it a little bit, and a lot of other people did. And then I think it kind of made its way up to the Indy Star, this kind of thought of who is better than Myles Turner. And I just thinking about what JJ said in our Sideline Guys podcast, just calm down about that. A lot of recency bias. And I think that's true. I think Myles still has the better potential, but they obviously got to Myles because he talked about it in his interviews. But then after that game in Orlando, he had a tough game. Only 8 points on 11 shots. I think he's still he if I'm him, I still think that this is my team, but I'm having a hard time kind of finding my groove because other guys have found their groove so quickly. I mean, Victor and Sabonis looks like they've been a Pacer for 5 years.
Yeah.
And Myles Turner kind of looks like the new guy. You know what I mean? So I think Myles kind of went into this year thinking, I'm not the one that's going to need to kind of adjust and have a period where I'm warming up to everyone. It's the other guys, but it's kind of been the opposite.
Yeah, it's been totally the opposite. There's a lot of even Sabonis with Victor, with Lance. There's a lot of chemistry out there, especially on the high pick and roll. And Sabonis has a lot of good post moves, and it seems like Myles, he's almost hesitant when he gets the ball. He doesn't know if he wants to shoot the jumper. Should he drive and try to get physical with it? And that's what is he, 19, maybe 20?
Who?
Turner.
Turner's 21. A couple months
21.
younger than I am. Yeah.
And so he's still young, but we can't always make an excuse for that. Just because at a certain point, you're an NBA player.
Well, what's interesting right now is you've got a lot of young NBA stars who are bigs. It's funny. If you look at the league, a lot of the young stars are bigs, not guards necessarily. Even Jason Tatum is a bigger player. But you look at Karl-Anthony Towns. He's a guy that disappointed a lot of people this year, especially on the defensive end. Just his inability to guard, and the Timberwolves overall have been kind of a letdown, and due in part because of Cat hasn't kind of lived up to the hype that everyone's been giving him. And I think when you've got a couple of unicorns like we have in the Greek Freak and Kristaps, it kind of you look at everyone else and you're like, well, why aren't you doing that? You know what I mean? I mean, Kristaps Porzingis is amazing. I mean, he's not. I mean, Myles Turner. I love Myles Turner, but Kristaps Porzingis is a unicorn.
I mean, there was fun. I think it was last year we had the discussion. Would you trade Turner for Porzingis? And last year, everybody was like, I don't know if I'd do that. But, I mean, if I was a Pacers fan right now, if they offered Turner for Porzingis, I'd be like, sign me up. Deal.
I know. I mean, that's how the NBA goes. But I still think both of them have a long way to go. And I think Myles is going to work his way through this. I mean, he's still not yet at the body that he's going to have for the rest of his NBA career. I don't really feel like Porzingis is going to like beef up and become this different player, but I think Myles Turner might well do that. Looking at what else has been going on, some interesting stats to go over. So the Pacers, it's 18 games into the year, 10-8. They're in the Central. I think they're 8th in the East, but it's jumbled up.
4 is within a game.
Yeah, it's jumbled up. But I just want to go through some fun stats. We can talk about these as we go through them. Victor Oladipo right now is 13th in scoring at 22.9 points per game, above Blake Griffin, Kyrie Irving, who many are talking about as a potential MVP frontrunner, PG-13, the unnamed, Russ, Klay Thompson, and John Wall, who's had a little bit of a rough start to the year. Did you think that he was going to be this good this early? There's Basketball Reference, for instance, today tweeted a side-by-side of last year's Paul George statistical season against this year's 18 games with just those eyeballs kind of like looking at it.
I did not expect it. Victor Oladipo, he was always in Orlando, he was young, there was a bad team, then he goes to OKC, and your usage is going to be way down anytime you play with Russell Westbrook. I mean, if you just look at his stats compared to his career, he's shooting better field goal percentage. He's way up at three-pointer percentage. He's almost 9% higher on that. Free throws are about the same. His rebounds are higher. His steals are higher. And his points, he went from 16.3 to 22.9. And that's just him getting an opportunity. I did not expect this. And you know what? We've talked about this before. It's nice to see him wanting this role, wanting to be here, wanting to be the man. And it's not just his offense. I mean, he had 7 steals in the last game.
Yeah,
he's playing hard on both ends. I never thought Victor Oladipo would be playing this good. Yeah. I don't know if he can sustain it, but I'll take it for this early in the season.
Yeah, it was interesting what Pat said last week, that he was actually more excited about Sabonis because of how much the front office loves Sabonis early on in that draft process, and how Oladipo has actually been his bigger surprise because of how much he's brought to this team. Oladipo is a better-known commodity heading into this season. You kind of knew that he was a decent scorer, really good defender, really athletic, but you didn't really know if he could take this step he has. I mean, if he sustains this, he has to be an all-star, and he might. The first team is picked by the players and whatnot, or the starters are picked by the players, so I don't see him becoming a starter, but it's pretty hard to deny what he's doing in the league, and there's a lot of chatter right now about all the players who are doing so much better away from Russell Westbrook. You talk about also Doug McDermott's actually having a really good season for the Knicks. Taj Gibson's playing well, but I just think Oladipo and Sabonis are just two players that the Pacers, they made the right decision on. I mean, when you look at the future, I think the future is really bright with those two guys plus some of the other young core.
Something that's popped in my head was when the Bulls made the trade for Butler.
Yeah,
they got rid of him, and what was it? It was
Levine, Chris Dunn, and the marketing pick.
And we all thought
they got the better deal.
Got the way better deal.
Everyone talked about it. How we got screwed.
Hosed.
Yeah, and then
they got a way better deal. Now you look at it, it's like, oh my. Like,
yeah,
he's a rookie. He's okay.
He's gonna be good, I think.
The other two right now haven't done anything.
I mean, yeah, Levine's coming back from his injury, but Dunn, I don't think Dunn's going to be any player like Sabonis or Oladipo. That's funny. It's a good point. Everyone was drilling the Pacers for not getting at least a draft pick, but it looks like the Pacers might have hit a home run. Sabonis right now is tied for 15th in rebounding at 9.2. I think Myles Turner's at 7.6, I want to say. But that's pretty remarkable, also considering, he did start some games there, but Myles Turner is back. But he's rebounding really well. He's a presence. He's a bruiser. I think Ross talked about it early this season, I think in our preview, that he thinks Sabonis is perfect for this team to be that, intimidator in the paint, that, when he's out there, that there's going to be no easy rebounds. He's gotten clawed across the face a couple times. He's just a tough player.
It's the kind of guy we've been wanting for a long time, who has the rebounding and the I won't say post-presence, the physicality of like a fan favorite in Jeff Foster. But he has a way better offensive game.
Yeah, skill set's remarkable.
Way better. And that's kind of like what Indiana fans in general want. They want a guy who's with fundamentals, who's going to play hard, get down and dirty with guys, diving for balls, getting the rebounds. That's what Indiana fans like. They don't like the Showtime type of stuff where it's all and one, or guys are just not going to go in there and try to get a rebound. They shoot a three, run to the other end, and try to do nothing.
They want a traditional. For good or for worse, for good or for better, for good or for
Something.
Forget it for something. Oh, my gosh. Whatever that saying means or is, they just like a traditional form of basketball, and that's a downside on a lot of ends. We'll talk about in a second some other stats that kind of show that the Pacers are traditional in a lot of their ways of going about their offense, but they're doing it really efficiently. But next, Cory Joseph is shooting 46.8% from three. I have really liked him for a long time before he got to the Pacers. I liked him in San Antonio. I just think whenever Popovich drafts a player, it kind of vindicates what he sees in them. He's a player that I really hope that they can keep around for the long term.
I was the one at the beginning of the year that said that I thought Cory Joseph would be starting over Darren Collison.
Yeah.
By the end of the season. Because I same way. I loved him in Toronto and what he did in San Antonio. He was the type of player that I thought would be a better fit at point guard. But we're getting Darren Collison 2.0.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
Even how well Cory Joseph might be playing, I like. It's good coming off the bench. I just can't see him supplanting Collison right now.
Yeah, I mean Collison has been remarkable, and I don't think a lot of Pacers fans, many at all, kind of saw this coming. I think they were kind of disappointed that the Pacers went this direction instead of just finding another young prospect and having them back up Cory Joseph. But Cory Joseph is playing a lot of minutes. I don't know if you have it there, but he's playing a lot of minutes. He's playing a lot of minutes with a start. Yeah, 24 minutes, which is a decent amount for a backup. But he's playing really well, and he's showing that the Pacers in the front office and Kevin Pritchard that he's a guy that they definitely will consider keeping around for the longer term. And I think for Pacers fans, I don't think you can say no, especially if they offer him a big contract, go for it, because I don't think you're going to find another young point guard like him right now that kind of fits in with your core players. I think that's the big thing. You have to find players that complement your core guys, and I think what you've seen this season so far is that he can really complement Sabonis really well. He can complement Victor Oladipo well because he's shooting the ball really well from three. Next, and probably the most interesting stat of the season thus far, the Pacers lead the league in 3-point percentage, and second, of course, is the Golden State Warriors. Could we have ever guessed that? I mean, especially looking at the season, we lost C.J. Myles. We lost Paul George. The Pacers lead the league in 3-point percentage.
Something I would never expect because we lost those guys. We tried doing this run and gun, shooting threes type of style last year with Nate as the coach, and it was terrible, and it didn't work out. And all of a sudden, you get this little ragtag scrap group of guys, and they're just knocking them down. I'm trying to remember last year's offense, and I can't really remember if it's different than this.
Yeah.
Is it just being executed better? Or?
I don't think there's much difference because the next thing is that they're 24th in the attempts, so it's not like they're chucking a lot.
Yeah.
They're just making a high number, and that's why I'm kind of weary of this stat, because if we start missing, I mean, if Bogdanovic isn't shooting as well as he is, if Cory Joseph isn't shooting as well as it is, then this team could really suffer on the offensive end because we're just not shooting enough. I think the Houston Rockets are shooting 44 threes a game, which is just
crazy.
Insane. I remember there's a number going around that the Phoenix Suns were number one in 3-point or in pace of play, I think in 2007, and they would be dead last in today's NBA, which is just remarkable to think about. But that kind of scares me too, because the 24th, if you're that means that you're making almost as many as you can with that limited attempt. So I don't know. I hope that attempt number goes up, and I'm fine with their percentage going down.
Yeah, because I mean, Bojan was 6 for 10 against Miami and 5 for 7.
Yeah, I mean he's shooting so well. It's hard to.
You can't keep that up.
Yeah.
You can't keep that up.
I mean, if they do, I'll take it. Next we're gonna have our Pacers trivia corner. We'll try to salvage that at least. Maybe it was a fun about steals after Victor Oladipo's steal extravaganza down in Orlando. Next we've got our Twitter questions from all of you people. I know we have some that came in a little bit later because I tweeted out one just before the show. But Zach, you want to take us through our Twitter mailbag?
Well, we'll do the most recent one. This one comes from George, or G Dudich 3.
Great Shout out to Dudich.
Dudich, you the man. His question is, how will the minutes change when Glenn Robinson III comes back? It's a good question.
It's a good question. I think the Pacers are really high on Glenn. There's a reason they've kept him around and signed him that longer deal in the first place. It'll be interesting. I think what you'll see is less minutes for Glenn. I think if Bojan doesn't shoot as well, less minutes for him. I don't think you'll see Victor lose anything, I think you'll just kind of see a couple minutes come from those guys. I think what you try to do is you try to bring it back to that 9-man rotation and just try to insert him into that starting group some, just so he's playing with better players. So I feel like when you bring a player back from injury, the last thing you want to do is make him like the number one target for that second unit.
Yeah.
Work him in with that first unit some, so he's playing out there with the most talented players on your team, so you can get acclimated. Hopefully by May he's playing around 20 minutes plus a game. But right now, I think we'll see a very gradual, and we don't really know when he's coming back yet either. There's no timetable right now.
I see it being more of a defensive rotation switch thing, just because if it's still going on, they're putting Bojan usually like out there on LeBron, and it's like, this is not going to be good. So I mean, I don't see him. They're expecting him to come. I don't think they'll expect him to come in and help them offensively. I see them.
He's a good catch and shoot player. I think.
But not like, hey, go out there and get me 20 points off the bench.
Yeah,
it'll be, hey, Bojan's struggling, go guard this guy.
Yeah,
because right now you don't really have a backup, a wing that can go out there and play some D for you.
Yeah. I mean, I think that his potential still is that 3-and-D guy, and I think he could be really good at it. We saw in flashes last year when Paul George was out. I remember I was at that Brooklyn Nets game where I think he had 20-something points, and he looked really comfortable. I think he just needs time to get acclimated to the offense, and needs guys to create a little bit for him. But once he gets rolling, I think he's a really good rotational player in the NBA. Next question, Big Zach.
So the next one we got, we kind of talked about this one. I'll read it off anyway. This one's from Gaston Blanco at Pacers. Pacers Argentina. Talk about the new shortened rotation, putting all the bench lineup to bed for good.
Ooh, I like that. I remember when Russ and KD were in Golden State, there was a big talk about how Scott Brooks and Billy Donovan couldn't figure out how to find a lineup where Russ or KD was always on the floor at one time. So that means staggering your lineups. And that's one thing I thought Nate always struggled with too, was having a traditional, here's my bench lineup, in the first quarter at 2 minutes left. I really like when you mix guys in, because with this Pacers team, Cory Joseph could be starting and no one would be mad. Sabonis could be starting over Thad and no one would really be that mad. So there's a lot of interchanging here with this team, which is really nice to have, because when guys are on fire, like Sabonis was in that Pistons game, you just keep them in. I mean, you don't have to bring in your starter there, because you've got a talented, 8-man group there right now.
Yeah, and why make your starter go out there and play more minutes when he doesn't have to? You're just wearing him out. Yeah,
I mean, it just makes sense. It's a luxury right now to have that. I'm really glad Nate is, continuing to test out lineups, and I hope he does that when Glenn comes back. I'd love to see him test out some with EK. Hopefully when EK gets some more run. Joe Young was in there a little bit. He didn't play bad. I think with Joe Young, we should talk about this. Joe Young slept over at Bankers Life Fieldhouse. I think it was after the Memphis win.
Yeah.
What a guy. He's done that a couple times. Like, he'll post on Snapchat. He'll be at Bankers Life at like 3 or 4 in the morning just shooting around, and like, dude, just sleep, man. I mean, I love you to death.
I appreciate, he's putting in the time.
He's putting in the work.
I'm not seeing it on the court, though.
Yeah, I don't know. I love the guy. I've always thought that he could be a decent player in the NBA. For some reason, it looks like he's actually lost weight and has like a thinner frame, which is easier to box around. I love how he picks up full court whenever he comes into the game, even if we're up or down by 20. But he's a player that, unfortunately, I don't know if he's going to make it past this year.
Yeah.
But, I wish the best. Hopefully he can catch a break, and hopefully, he can prove that he needs to be on this team moving forward.
Next question. This one, been avid lately. Zach Grinsdale at Z Grinsdale on Twitter. Before the season started, Pacers were projected to be sellers at the trade deadline. If they continue to be successful and secure a playoff spot, do you see them being buyers at the deadline, or just continue to develop the young players? Maybe target a 3-and-D wing?
I actually think they're going to be sellers and buyers here. I think that there's potential for them to move Bojan if he continues to have the street season that he's had the past few games. I think he's definitely a guy that, on a short contract that some of these true contenders are looking at, which I think would be great. And also, I think the Pacers are a great group. for a lot of those big contracts that were given out a couple of years ago, a lot of those aren't panning out around the league, or teams just realize that they can't compete with Golden State, Houston, Boston, and Cleveland. So I love to see the Pacers kind of snatch up some of those young guys. You saw the Brooklyn Nets do that with Alan Crabb after they offered him the offer sheet, and this season getting him. But I love to see the Pacers do a little of both. I think I don't see them giving up both Bojan and Collison like I did at the beginning of the year, because both of them are playing so well. But I still think they're going to move one, even if they're both playing well.
Yeah,
it's hard not to with how many years they've been in the league.
The thing that worries me, I guess, is just it worries me because they're playing so well right now. Is the chemistry.
Yeah.
Bojan's playing well, and you take the risk of when you trade Bojan. Oh, we're going to get a draft pick back. Well, you don't know if that draft pick's going to be any good.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're trading it to contender, well, that's going to be a late first-round pick. Who wants that? Unless your scouting department does great. I mean, stinking. We should have had Bell from Oregon, but, it's another story.
Yeah, it's tough right now because they're playing well, and you don't want them to move a piece away that's playing so well. I mean, he's at 52 points in the past 2 games, so you couldn't ask more from him right now. But he has to go into he just got the same thing happened to him last season. He was with the Brooklyn Nets. He got traded to the Washington Wizards in an attempt to help their playoff run. So I think he came here kind of thinking that too. I mean, looking at his contract, there's no way he couldn't think that it's definitely a possibility that he'll be moved. But I'm trying to think right now in the NBA if there's anyone who kind of fits that. I mean, there's a lot of teams that I think are going to be sellers. We're watching one right now, if you're on YouTube on our screen, the Phoenix Suns, because they're terrible. They're horrible.
Oh, terrible.
They let up 90 points in the first half, which is not good. If you didn't want to know that, they don't play defense. Like, they literally don't play defense. But I think there are going to be some opportunities. Are there anyone that stick out in your head right now? I'm trying to think.
I mean, Pacers wise, I mean, what I think the Pacers are going to do, I actually think they're going to stay just where they're at. Cause I think they know, well, we have no chance at a title. The only reason I see them making a move, like getting rid of Collison or Bojan, is if they see a young guy out there who they feel isn't being utilized, kind of like Sabonis.
Yeah.
They're not going to go for a draft pick. Maybe they'll go for someone they think can come in and play right away or give them solid minutes right away that's young. As far as like people being moved out in the league,
it's hard to target anyone this early still.
It's way too early. I mean, I bet if you ask me that in early February, late January, then that'd be an easy one.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other questions? Is that it?
Well, unless someone's tweeted us real quick. Let's see. Those were the 3.
Thanks for the Twitter questions, people.
Actually, we do have another one.
Okay.
It's from Elijah at EJKTDA Edgeka. Thanks for the tweet. What can Lance do to fit better in his role with the team?
I think just do what he's been doing the past few games, and that's not being worried about creating offense and just playing. I think he worries a lot sometimes, kind of like what I was just talking about with Glenn. When you work a player back, you feel like with that second unit that you're the guy. You have to create. It's a lot on your shoulders, so you press a lot. You take shots that aren't good shots, and then you end up making bad decisions on both ends of the floor. I think what you saw in his last game, especially against Orlando, he had 3 points, 6 assists, and 10 rebounds. So he's just playing basketball. He's not worried about creating offense. He's not worried about any stats. He
took 4 shots that game.
Yeah, he's not worried about shots. He's not worried about anything but just playing his game, being aggressive. That Myles Turner pass he had made SportsCenter. He's playing He's playing how he plays. He's not worried about the label of the second unit generator of offense. That's a weird label. But he's definitely just playing basketball, and it's nice to see him catch that flow again. Because when he's in that flow, he's a very good player. But it's just when he's not in that flow and he's pressing, he makes really bad decisions. But when he is in that flow, which we saw at the end of last year, and which we're starting to see right now, is a really good Lance.
I think it's just all in his head. He feels like he has to do too much. Like last year, came in, he's like, I don't have to do nothing. I just got to play my game. People are going to love me. Yeah. And then Paul George is gone. Everyone's leaving. New team.
Yeah.
He's like one of the only veterans on the team now.
Yeah.
He's like, I got to do something. I got to carry this team. Yeah. And he puts too much pressure on himself. He'll miss a shot and puts his head down. And he does a little wag he does with his head and pouts and stuff. And we don't need that. What we need is just go out there and play your game. Yeah. He just needs to be comfortable and not even think about it. Just I mean, especially with
Play your
Sabonis out there, just play that pick and roll.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about it because it's fun to talk about it and it's cheesy. But this team, just watching them in the sideline, watching them after the game against Detroit, just seeing how happy they are to just playing with each other. Victor going over to Myles' house. We haven't heard stories like that in a while. It just makes you feel good. I mean, this team is a good group of guys. I think that's what you feel like. They're not selfish. They just want to win at the end of the day. I mean, a lot of them have come from very interesting backgrounds. I mean, Collison's been all around the league. Oladipo, has been a trade piece twice now. Sabonis started for most of last year and then was benched for the playoff run. Myles Turner was always under the shadow of Paul. There's a lot of players here that have something to prove. Bogdanovic, that have something to prove. And when you've got something to prove, then this team can, and then the players have something to play for. They want to win. And winning shuts up everybody.
Exactly.
Anything else?
That is all the questions.
That is all the questions. So we've got a fun slate of games this week. If you're in town and you're listening to this podcast, go to a Pacers game this weekend. They play the Toronto Raptors and the Celtics on Saturday, but Pacers.com is doing their Gold Friday sale. You can buy tickets as low as $5. This is an ad, and we don't even care. Go over there and buy some tickets because this team deserves it. They're everything we wanted them to be this year, just from how they play to the way they execute on the floor, the way they hustle, their energy. This is what Pacers fans want, so they're delivering. So go out to a game. They're having a special deal again. I think it's like $5 a ticket. You can buy some tickets. So make sure to come out this weekend if you can, Friday and Saturday. I mean, go watch the East Best. Celtics might be coming with a 19-game winning streak, but let's move right on into Toronto, the Raptors, second in the East right now.
Which we kind of predicted with Cleveland having that real bad start.
Yeah.
And let's see, Celtics, Raptors, Pistons, which we didn't foresee.
No.
I had 38 wins for them this year total.
Yeah.
I think 38 or 40, something like that. So the Raptors are right where we thought they'd be. CJ Miles, who's OG Anunoby?
Yeah, OG.
He's been getting minutes for them.
He's started some games.
Yeah.
He's been solid. It's good for him coming back from that torn ACL. DeMar DeRozan has been nuts. I think I can't talk today. Kyle Lowry had a really nice quote about DeRozan. Everyone in the NBA is talking about how everyone needs to be shooting more threes, and DeRozan just doesn't shoot threes. And that's fine because he's just a really good player. He's got a great handle. He's got great footwork around the rim. This team is going to be good. I don't see them. I couldn't see them, even if potentially they made the finals, I couldn't see them beating the Warriors just because they couldn't keep up scoring-wise.
Yeah.
But what I could see is them beating a lot of Eastern Conference teams because of how solid they are, like 1 through 8, 1 through 9. They're a really good team. So they're coming to here on Friday. Who do you have? Will the Pacers continue their 5-game winning streak?
For that one, I got Ross. He's giving us his picks as well.
Okay.
Ross is taking the Raptors.
Okay.
On that one. I'm going to take the Pacers.
I'm going to take the Pacers as well. I think
I think it's going
to be an awesome crowd. I think Friday and Saturday will be an awesome crowd. I think that will really help too. I think this team has been playing well. Against the Pistons was a nice crowd once the energy got there, but I think you're going to see a big crowd, and I think one that is going to turn some heads. Next game, you've got the Celtics, the number 1 team in the NBA right now as far as winning percentage, 16-2. Went 0-2 to start the season and haven't lost since. This team is really good, firing on all cylinders. Kyrie Irving has been a monster, had 47 the other night. Zach just dropped his phone. Al Horford, losing my voice, has been so solid. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown have been amazing too. Have you been surprised that they've been this good without Hayward? I mean, I think it's absolutely right.
Oh yeah, I did not expect them to be this good without Gordon Hayward. That's just credit to Brad Stevens. I mean, they got a good roster and they got good young talent. And Kyrie's been playing, out of his mind. He's out of the shadow of LeBron, but I think a lot of it goes on. They might not like you saying it, but I think a lot of it goes on Brad Stevens. I mean, he's just a really good coach, putting guys in the right positions to make plays and just adjusting to what he has. I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody would thought, well, Hayward's out. Well, shoot, they're the 3rd or 4th team in the East.
Yeah. What's funny, I think there was an article, I believe it was in the Star, but how Stevens has kind of compared this team to the teams that to the Final Four team that came after Gordon Hayward, left for the draft, and how that team, lost one of their star players there, and Matt Howard and Shelvin Mack, and that Butler team went back to the Final Four, which, looking back, is absolutely amazing. But I think this team obviously has stars like Kyrie and Al Horford, but they're playing Daniel Theis. They're playing Aaron Baines, who had 22 points on TNT. I mean, they've got players who are just stepping up, and I think, that's credit to Stevens. I remember his first year there, he was having players like Jared Sullinger take threes, and everyone was losing their minds because they were like, why is he having them take threes? What's going on? It doesn't make any sense, but Stevens is a good coach. He wants to develop a culture and a way of doing things, and schemes in his offense, schemes in his defense, and it's paying off now. He's got the personnel to do it, and I think they're a legitimate contender this year in the NBA.
After saying all that, I got the Pacers. Pulling the upset 6 games in a row.
I got the Celtics, but I think it's going to be a tremendous game.
And Ross has the Celtics as well.
Okay. I think it's going to be a really good game. Overall, I think it's going to be a good weekend. I think they're going to walk away from that Celtics game with their heads held high, because I think 5 out of 6, and then losing. I think they'll lose a tough game against the Celtics, but hopefully I'm wrong.
Yep. Are we going on to?
Yeah, we'll do a couple more because I don't know if we're going to do our next show. Versus the Magic, then we won't go over too much into detail there.
Just play them.
Yeah, just play them. I'll take the Pacers here. A little bit of a homestand.
Ross has Pacers, and I've got the Pacers.
Yeah. Next at Houston, so schedule gets a little bit tough there again. A team that drilled us a little bit here last week, and a team that's just really good. Eric Gordon is just averaging, I think, 21 points a game to go along with Harden probably being the front runner this year. So this team is deep. They're shooting 44 threes a game. If you watch them, Mike D'Antoni barely stands up during the game. He just kind of sits back and is like, yep, just keep chucking.
Just keep checking.
What's he averaging right now, Eric Gordon?
20.9.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, that team is just good right now. I think Harden leads the league in assists as well. He's just absolutely fantastic. That team is fun to watch.
I mean, between Harden and Gordon, they're checking almost 22 threes a game. Just between them two.
It's a lot of threes. All right.
But Gordon is only at he's only shooting 33%. That's kind of surprising.
Yeah, they're going to be good. I don't want to say that they're better than Golden State because they aren't, but they could definitely make a run here at that team just because of how furious their pace is. I think, Golden State showed some complacency earlier, and that's, to be expected when you're just probably the most talented team of all time. But it'll be interesting to see them in that playoff race. I don't think they've played yet, but it'll be interesting to see them when they do play and of how Golden State matches that pace in the game.
Yeah. So you got Rockets?
I got the Rockets.
All three of us have the Rockets.
Yeah, that's a really tough one. Next is at Toronto, so just a short turnaround. I think it's about a week in between. Again, that's a tough place to play up in the north, but the Pacers have squeaked out some wins over there. I'm going to take the Pacers. I think they're going to beat them twice now.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know. If we beat them, that's tough. I'm gonna go with the Raptors.
All right.
Ross has Raptors.
Very well could happen.
This team is very surprising. I mean, it honestly, as a Pacers fan, if you're listening to this, you shouldn't be shocked if the Pacers lost the next 4, or if they won the next 4.
Yeah,
that's just kind of the season.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
So I mean, and what's funny is if we lost 4 in a row, I honestly wouldn't be mad.
Yeah, I mean, this team, take the highs and celebrate them, and then with the lows, just this team is young. That's the kind of the fun thing about this team is that I think Nate said that he knows that this team is going to give him everything that they've got, and I think that's all you can want as a fan right now with a team that doesn't have the talent to. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, Pacers fans, we're not going to compete for the NBA championship.
Nope.
But this team is definitely going to be fun to watch. They're going to give you good moments. They're going to make you feel good. They provide some real hope for the future. I like that 2010 comparison for a lot of reasons. The only one I don't like is that team had Josh McRoberts, and we do not have Josh McRoberts. By the way, I went to the game 4 of that Bulls series versus the Pacers when the Bulls were in the 1 seed and the Pacers actually won that game. All I can remember is Josh McRoberts somehow got the ball in a crucial situation and had to dribble it up the court and was playing point guard, and I was just losing my mind because I didn't know what was going on.
Slow motion. No,
I know.
Don't do it.
But I think this team is more talented than that team. I think this team is fun. F-U-N. Fun.
And, yeah, they're fun. I mean, the tickets are cheap. I'm just looking at the attendance. Pacers are second to last in attendance right now.
Yeah.
I mean, we're only averaging about 15,000 a game. We're ahead of the Hawks. I mean, that's about it. So come on, let's get out there and try to support these guys.
It's amazing. The Bulls
are number one.
Are number one with just I think that's on total attendance because
it's taken.
It's average.
It's average, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
76ers are second. Cavs are third.
Pacers fans, go buy a $5 ticket. I don't care if you're in the nosebleeds. I'll be there Friday night. If you want to see where I am, I'll be in Turner's Block. Okay, I'll be out there. You be out there. Go to a game. Buy a $5 ticket. Support your hometown team. We got some hometown people on the team too. Just be loud. Come to a Pacers game. Support your team.
What else?
Drive up this attendance level.
Just the winner.
Just think about this. The Bulls, who I can't name 4 players on their team. I can, but I'm acting like I can't because I want to improve a point. They're terrible. Wait, first of all, how do they seat that many people in United Center?
I don't know.
That's not right.
This is ESPN.
They do not sit 21,000 people.
You know what? I don't believe this because it says the Heat average or 6 averaging 19,600.
Yeah, those numbers are
because if you watch a Heat game, there ain't nobody there, and that's after the first quarter.
Well, first of all, Pacers, and I think they're going to do this. Like, just blow up the don't blow up the thing above the Legend Center, which is really nice. Then those new suites.
That legendary is just terrible.
It just looks terrible. No one sits there. There's like these weird angles, and no one ever sits there. And those terrible shots on TV where the guys under the basket and they're filming up towards that center, and you can just see like all these empty rows of seats. Just blow that out, and we'll be fine.
Yeah,
just blow out the weird angles.
For years, they've needed to get rid
or
of
just
that.
like lower the lights, like so no one can see.
Lower the lights or something. Now let me ask you this: are those seats for Legends, like those people who get Legends tickets for the food and everything? Yeah. Can they go sit out in those seats? Is that their seats?
Yeah, those are their seats.
So they just never go to their seats.
Yeah, I mean a lot of people sit there or they just buy those tickets for the food.
That's stupid. It's such a waste of money.
I know. Pacers figure that out. But anyways, we'll be there Friday. We're gonna have some fun. Did we get another Twitter question?
Did we?
Did we get a last second? I don't know. I got a new iPhone and I have not set up anything. Probably just got another because that's what our tweets get. They get likes. That's right, baby. Yeah. All right. Well, anything else to plug?
Obviously, SoundCloud, iCloud, iTunes, Google Play. I think we're gonna try to get it on Stitcher, and there was another one.
Yeah, we got to get it on Stitcher. I know people were sorry. If you want a fun episode, I think one that will live on doesn't really have a expiration date, but the Sideline Pod with Jeremiah and Pat Boylan. It's a good one just to listen to. They talk about a lot about their stories that they've had over the years and how this team kind of differs from previous teams, just in how they're covering it. In a post-game locker room situation and just on the road. So it's a fun episode to listen to. So listen there for sure. And other than that, follow us on Twitter, on Instagram. Keep on liking our stuff, asking us questions, and we'll try to give you the best Pacers coverage possible. So thanks for watching, listening.
That's all I got. Peace.